Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course drop me a comment down below. Love hearing back from you guys, it goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we're on issue 74 of Stormbringer magazine. Obviously, if you've missed it, Riptide got released over the weekend, so we're now into a new edition of Age of Sigmar, so some of the rules have changed from these magazines, which isn't always the best thing for the end run of a magazine, but it generally is the way it goes. So for instance, with Imperial magazine, we hit the end of the ninth edition? Yeah, 9th edition of good old 40k, during the very back end of that magazine. Mortal Realms, we hit the end of the Soul Wars, good old the 2nd edition of Age of Sigmar at the back end of that magazine. Now we've hit the back end of the 3rd edition of Age of Sigmar at the back end of Stormbringer magazine. Chances are, when good old Combat Patrol comes out, it's 80 weeks again, so that will take us to around about the 3rd year, which is round about when they release the next edition of 40k and such like, and it will keep on going like that. So if they keep on doing the magazines, we will always hit the end of the magazine when we're already into the newest edition of the game. So there is always a lot to take in, but the idea with magazine is that basically it will baby steps you through getting into the game and getting into the hobby and such like that. So it's very, very good for new starters. It's also very good for collectors because you get a load of minis. Talking of minis, this week is a scenery issue. Now I've rambled on plenty. So it is our final scenery issue. It is the Guardian Idol, so our second one. Obviously very, very simple to put together, very, very simple to paint. Have a bit of fun with it. It goes in very nicely with the 3rd edition scenery and the next edition scenery, which is the one that you get in Riptide. So for instance, in the Riptide box you get a broken Guardian Idol among a damaged domicile shell and a couple of other bits and pieces, so you do get some scenery to get going if you've got the Riptide box, and it all fits in very, very well with this. So pretty good, and it's nice that they're finally theming it all together that fits in quite nicely. About time. Anywho, going into this week's issue, we are greeted by the Iron Jaws. They're brutal but cunning. So the most obvious strengths of the Iron Jaws are their physical prowess, their courage to charge into any situation, and their brutally effective fighting abilities. However, they are also master tacticians in their own way, and their attacks are undertaken with blunt efficiency and skill. Running headlong at the enemy without concern for the consequences and hitting them until they stop moving is not in itself a bad plan when coupled with the might of a hulking Ironjaw's warrior, and it certainly remains a highly effective backup plan. So, the Ironjaws, obviously big hulking orcs of the Mortal Realms, wearing big slabs of metal as plate armour, do generally like to go headlong into the situation, beat everything, and until one of them stops moving. That's generally the way they go. So it's like a headbutt in a brick wall, really, with them. But yeah, they like doing that, so it is what it is. You get a bit more information about their weapons and armour. So obviously, Ardboy's armour is made from weighty slabs of steel that are, just thumped into roughly the right shape. They utilise brute smashers and gore hackers, which are blades and maces, and they do have some war clans of infamy as well, so including the Iron Sons, Bloodtooths and the Choppers, and they have all different colour schemes. So if you wanted to, you could always go for a different colour scheme other than the yellow paint job that you're encouraged to do with this magazine. So here's what it is. Then we get a page for Anatomy of Grot. Obviously this is written in the style of a scholar of the Mortal Realms who is studying these different races and species and stuff like that. So, the Infernal Gods have presented a great mystery to the finest scholars of the ages. I regret that I, Herman Splott, am no exception, and I find myself mightily vexed by these dreadful animals. One cannot even categorise them properly. At the beginning of my research, I initially began to describe them as bipedal wretches, and then almost immediately beheld one with 6 legs that scuttled about like an insect. So, everything that is commonly believed about grots can be changed pretty quickly. So they do utilise, obviously, a lot of different things that can sometimes manipulate how they are, whether they have 6 legs, whether they have 3 legs, 1 leg, and such like. They utilise a lot of fungus. They're not the most sane kind of being within the mortal realm, so they do utilise a lot of weird stuff. And then there are also the ones that kind of ride massive spiders, eat madcap mushrooms, and have mushrooms growing out of them, because grots for you, they're weird. So, pretty cool stuff, and it's a bit of fun information for you. If you like that type of stuff and you want to know more about the different factions, that's a good bit of information about the Gloomspite Gits and the grots and such like. Moving on though, we have a page for Chaos and the Chaos Gods themselves. So obviously there is Khorne, the Blood God. The armies in his service fight to deliver the slaughter and carnage that their lord demands. From out of the tears in reality, furious demons pour into the mortal realms to visit death and destruction on all in their path. Tzeentch is the Chaos God of Change, who values daring, ambition and cunning among many of his loyal followers. Alongside his demon hosts, both human cultists and bird-headed beastmen have been manipulated in serving his armies of anarchy. And then we move on to the other page. We have Nurgle. Obviously, Nurgle is the Chaos God of Pestilence and Decay. The grotesque fanatics who follow the grandfather Nurgle are blessed with his many experimental diseases and afflictions. Nurgle servants are truly grateful for his revolting blessings, and they prosecute his wars with intense zeal. And then we have Slaanesh. So Slaanesh is the absent Chaos God of Obsession and the Dark Prince of Excess. His followers are concerned not just with an excess of pleasure, but with an excess of all things, whether it's pain, gluttony, joy, and wrath. Some of his followers are devoted to seeking out their lost god. And then finally, the Great Horned Rat. The Great Horned Rat is the 5th Chaos God and a deity of hunger and cunning. His children, the Skaven, seek nothing less than the total ruination of the mortal realms and the imposition of their dreadful regime over all else. So, the Skaven, obviously very, very pertinent to the newest edition of the Age of Sigmar, because they are the new kind of big bad in the mortal realms. So a bit more information about them is always very much appreciated. I do genuinely like the Skaven as well. Moving on, you got your how to build the Guardian Idol. In all honesty, exactly the same as it was before. Very, very easy. You do have the option whether you're going for the different faces of it, whether you want to go for one that's more skull-like underneath or whether it's more facial. Entirely up to you, but that is your only build option. So it's your choice. I mean, personally, I went with that one last time, so I might go with that one this time. But I, in general, will wait and see. I don't know yet. I've not really decided. Painting it, very, very easy. Personally, I would not brush it though. It is half decent weather at the moment, so as long as you're around about a 20-degree heat, get a can of spray paint. Whether you're going for good old GW's own Citadel paints, whether you're going for the Colour Forge spray paint, whether you're going for a cheaper spray paint from B&M Bargains or anywhere like that, or Halfords, spray your scenery. Far easier, speeds up the process, less chance to kind of muck it up. Just obviously make sure you're using it in decent temperature, so around about a 20-degree heat. Shake the can very, very, very well. Do it in a well-ventilated area. Do not do it inside small confined rooms with no windows, because it will choke you, it can be toxic, and it's not very good for your health. And obviously, outside is best. So, don't do it when it's raining. That's the main thing. And obviously when it's not too humid, because humidity can destroy paint. Anywho, the actual painting of it, very, very simple. It's up to you how you want to go about doing it. Personally, I've done mine, and I may show it off at some point. it's very, very straightforward. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. You can just kind of go over it, throw a couple of washes over all your base coats, dry brush back over with kind of like your Wraith Bone or something like that, for instance. Over things like the skulls, a bit of Skeleton Horde goes a real nice way over Wraith Bone. Using up your colours as well on your palette, which can be pretty good, and you can have different colours depending on what you want. Whether you want to go for that kind of like pale blue kind of colour for all the gems and such like, entirely up to you. But fairly straightforward, very, very easy. I don't think you'll have a problem with this. And yeah, dead easy. Then moving on, we get our order tactics page for Garda's Steel Soul. So obviously a champion of the Hallowed Knights and one of Sigmar's most faithful servants. Obviously the Hallowed Knights very, very pertinent to the current edition as well, to the newest edition, should I say, of Age of Sigmar, because they are the kind of updated poster boys. So we're not going forward straight towards the Hammers of Sigmar, but when I can learn to speak. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. And then you get your same tactics page for Bastian Karthlos. Obviously his war scroll has changed, so he has one less movement than the last edition, than this edition, should I say, now. Iron Skull's Boys tactics page. On the other side, the Ard Boys tactics page, so obviously you got tactics for all your Oryx now, apart from next week's. And then we have our battle plan. So battle plan, the Last Stand, Lines of Power. So obviously we are slowly ramping up the amount of units used. So at the moment now, the idea is you use 1 wizard, 2 heroes, 2 troops. So it's not as big, but it's only on 1 battle mat. And obviously this will expand even further. So next week it might be a wizard and 2 heroes and then 5 troops, for instance. Who knows? So yeah, the idea is to keep on playing with the amount of units you're using to build it up in that way. And such like. So, pretty good stuff there. And yeah, generally fairly straightforward battle. You're not going to have a problem with it. Next week, however, we get a War Chanter. So it is our last of the Iron Jaws minis, which is pretty cool and should be really good fun. And it's a bit more of a wizardy type unit as well for the Iron Jaws. The week after though, so issue 76 is part 1 of 3. So issue 76, 77 and 78 are the Stormdrake Guard units for the Stormcast Eternals. I always said Dracothian Guard then for some reason. They're big, flying stems, flying dragons, which are always really cool. I'm not going to lie, I have pre-ordered each of them issues. So I have 2 lots, so I'll have 4 in total, which is really cool because I really want these guys. They do have build options as well, so different heads, different weapons as well, whether it's for lances and such like. So you do have a little bit of an option with them, but otherwise definitely ones to spray paint because it'll be far easier. Really good stuff though. That is it from me. If you've been able to hear any kind of drilling and sawing and such like that and power tools in the background of this video, is because my neighbours have been doing DIY for days and it's frustrating as hell. But yeah, it is what it is. Otherwise though, I hope you really enjoyed the video. There will be more content to come, and I'm in the middle of writing a load of videos and trying to do them where they're a bit more scripted, a little bit more simple. And there'll be some long form videos coming as well. So we'll wait and see. Now, that is it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.